Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and I want to talk to you about this. It is called Unbound Endless War. In this cute little box here, there is a cute little space game that is going to pit two players against each other. Each of them has sworn to destroy the other one and destroy their space base, if you will. And you are going to be laying tiles, basically cards, out onto the board. Well, they're hexagon-shaped cards, I guess. But regardless, you're going to be placing them down to kind of build your space map. Lots of games like that. I do enjoy the whole process of building the map that you're going to be using. But along the way, you're going to launch your spaceships that are going to then wage war against each other in the hopes that eventually one of you, well, if you're playing, you're hoping it's you, basically just, takes over the other person's base and then wins the game. So the game is really simple to learn, really simple to play, but has a lot of strategy and a lot of layers to it for being a small little game. So let me show you how the game is played, and we'll come back here and I'll tell you what I think. Alright, cool. This is Unbound Endless War, and as I said, this is a two-player game where each person is trying to take over the other person's base. And that's how you lose the game. If somebody, and this is like the blue base, if white somehow manages to get their spaceships on blue's base, or blue on white's base, and manage to leave it there for a complete turn, meaning that the opponent has like one chance to like kind of get back in there and take it back over, they will win the game. Now, there is a way that you, both people can lose the game because of the fact that you're drawing these cards, these hexagon tiles, basically, to build out this map. Normally, if you have to discard the cards, they go into a discard pile and you just shuffle them up if you run out of them. If somehow you get like all of the cards out on the table without anybody there, because each person has to draw 3 of these cards each turn, if that ever happens, then the game is over and it ends in a draw. But I have yet to have that happen. Usually somebody has won before that occurs. Anyway, so you start with a hand of 5, and then you draw 3 more on your turn. And then you go ahead and you try to place these out onto the board, and you're going to place them face down. The reason for that is because lots of times, like this, like you're going to have tiles like this, like a supernova tile, where if you can convince somebody else to land on that and reveal it, it obviously blows up and takes out a large area and will destroy some of their spaceships as well. There's also like a black hole tile, which will like take their spaceships and suck them in and hold them there for a turn, meaning they can't do anything with them, and they get destroyed and go back to the person's supply. So you're able to like place these out there as traps, basically, that the other player will reveal. And there's that bluffing as well, like if you are going to be placing out tiles that are face down, like so, and you don't travel on them for whatever reason, the other player's going to be thinking, oh, well, he's placed some bad stuff there. I'm not going to go that route. Well, in actuality, there's nothing bad there at all. You know exactly what's there, and then later on, maybe you'll swoop in with your units to go ahead and attack the other person. Now, I kind of put these a little closer than they should be. Normally, there should be enough room to put 5 tiles, like so, to between the two bases. I just, for the purposes of showing you how the game is played, though, I have placed them a little bit closer. So that's one of the cool things about this game, too, is the fact that, all it is these tiles and these 2 bases and these spaceships. So it is a very, very small game, and, great for traveling, and also, like I played this a lot when I first got the game at my job, when I go and have lunch, with my buddies. This is a great 2-player game that we could play just while we're eating our sandwiches and what have you. But anyway, so each person will get like a little card here that has the stats for the combat and also what you can do in a turn. So basically what you do is on your turn, after you draw your hexes, you are going to be going in and placing hexes down, like I just said. Remember, you place those face down. And then you can discard a hex in your hand that you have, and then you discard those, just make a discard pile. You can discard a hex to spawn a single unit on your base hex. So you can just, place one down on your base hex. And then you can discard another hex another card basically to generate 2 movement points, and then you can move over. Now the thing is that these tiles, when you reveal them, are going to have 3 stats. They're going to have a movement cost to enter the tile. In this case, this is an asteroid tile, so it costs 3. And then it's going to have, if you attack out of this tile, what the attack value is going to be, 3. And then what the defense tile is, if you have units on this planet, or this sector of space, what their defense is going to be if they get attacked. So I'm just going to show you attacks, because that's the other big thing. Obviously, you're going to be spending movement to move into a hex of somebody else that has them, and that's how you're going to go ahead and attack them. So here, let me just turn these over real quick. So here you have, like, here, those 3 hexes, and they're next to each other. And let's say blue has 2 ships on there. Now the defense is 4 for that tile, so they have a total of 8 defense in that location. You just basically multiply it. I mean, I mean, they did basically put a multiplication table on here, but if you can figure it out pretty easily. Then you can see from this location, though, if you have a spaceship from that location and they're attacking, this has an attack value of 6 with a defense of 1. I basically open space. It's easier to like make your attacks and what have you. And over in this area, this is like a little. It's got some debris, but not nearly as condensed. The attack value is 5 from there. So if you had a situation where white had both of those in there, they could discard the hexes to move to make the attack. This combined attack value would be an 11 total. And then you would go ahead and defeat these 2. And then, but here's the deal, not both of them can move into attack. White would have to choose one of those 2 to move in to take over the area. You can't move in with everything that attacked that spot. Now I should also mention that, like, when you have tiles out here like this, you can place them down as long as if somebody, like, so these blue's going, and let's say white has a unit here and like a unit there. You can't place a tile on the other side. Basically, you have a broken chain of influence. So when you're placing a tile down, you could place one next to these 2, but you could place one here because it's next to this one. And you could place one here, but you couldn't place one over here. Even if you knew you were going to be able to expend enough energy to destroy this, and then go ahead and like move into that other spot. That kind of allows for other strategies to develop, where you'll be using your ships not so much to make attacks, but basically as like things that would slow down other players as they move forward. Now, as I said, if you have a black hole spot and it gets turned over and somebody's moved in there, the ships that get moved into that spot are stopped, and then they're stuck there for one turn. Basically, they lose a turn, and so depending on if you've sent out a lot of your spaceships, you might have less resources available. Then they're destroyed and available for you to spawn out there. If somebody discovers a supernova, let's just see. Let's put some ships down like this, and let's say white moved into the spot of the supernova. Not only do all these ships get destroyed and get sent back, including this one, but all of the tiles, including this one and one over, all are destroyed as well. So you kind of like obliterate a portion of your map when that happens. Now you might be saying, well, how is it possible that you could like end the game in a draw when there's supernova tiles out there? But you got to remember they're turned over face down, and if somehow you actually don't discover the supernovas that you put down, it might happen that you get through the entire deck. I should mention also that a supernova, you can't put a supernova down next to somebody else's base and then activate it hoping it destroys the base. Bases are not affected by those. So there you go. That is, in a nutshell, what the game is. It is a game about bluffing. It is a game about judicious decisions as far as what you're going to use your tiles for. And also it comes direct down to like efficiency more than anything else that I've discovered when I played the game. Being able to figure out the cheapest way to get my ships on the board, get them moved, and deciding whether I'm going to use them for offensive or defensive capabilities. Very important stuff. So There you go. But let me talk more about Unbound in my final thoughts. All right, thank you very much for learning how to play the game. Like I said, it isn't really the most difficult game to learn, but there are definitely layers to it that don't really come apparent until you actually start playing, and you kind of get into like a fungoed situation where you need to be on the offensive, to basically get your rocket ships to certain locations, but because of the fact that like the players can, you can set up, you get the different tiles with the different movement costs to use. You can set up like either pathways, where like you set up like cheap ones to get through that are gonna like your opponents are gonna want to use because then obviously like they don't have to discard as many cards to actually get to that point. But you also need to always get your own ships out of your own area, so you don't want to have a lot of really expensive tiles to move right out in front either. So I mean, there's like a fun little leverage thing that goes on when you play, where you want to make sure that you are fairly mobile, but you want to actually be able to slow the other person down, and I enjoy that aspect of it. I enjoy that kind of there's a lot of last-ditch gambits where like you'll discard a bunch of cards trying to like move your spaceships into the best possible position, and hopefully like having some sort of gambit that'll allow you to seize the opportunity and take out your opponent's base. But also there's like that weird, and I hate to mention, but the weird stratego effect of like when you find the bomb, and it just blows you up with the supernovas and things like that and the black holes, and I enjoy that aspect of it too. Any game that has a reveal moment where you get to turn the card over and see what it is, I like that. I like that anticipation. I like the tension that creates, and and I've slowly but surely I've kind of like learned to really enjoy these two-player games, just because recently I've kind of discovered that when you play a multiplayer game, it's kind of tough to focus, especially really hyper competitive ones. It's really tough to like focus on everybody else and try to see what everybody else is doing. When you have one and you can just kind of align yourself against them and figure out what they're doing and try to defeat them, I found that that's kind of fun to do that battle of wits. So there you go. If you're looking for like a very quick, very fast little game that you can play with your buddies, if you only got the one gaming buddy that's gonna be over at your house, or like as I said, perfect like lunchtime type of game to play, I'd urge you to check out Unbound and the War. If you have any questions about it, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.